Hello gamers, Powered Heal here, and today we're doing another hardcore clip review. This one is going to be a little bit different than normal because we don't have the healer POV this time around. I actually found the healer's Twitch, but I don't think they were streaming, so instead we're going to look at PirateSoftware's POV, the mage, from OnlyFans, and I think this was an OnlyFans run, and it's kind of appropriate that we're going to be looking at his POV because this whole controversy that we're going to be kind of looking at here is surrounding him and his actions in this dungeon. So that's what this is going to be about. It's going to be a bit different than normal. Basically, I'm going to explain the context a bit, what's going on. Then we're going to I'm going to let the clip play so you guys can see what happens. And then I'm going to play it with the audio because I want you to hear the audio because I think that's the important part. And I'm going to let you hear some things that they say at the end, and then I'll kind of go into my breakdown analysis. And the whole reason why we're even doing this is kind of because of PirateSoftware, and some things were said at the end of this video that I just didn't like at all, and that's why we're going to cover it, and I'm going to give you my take on it. So yeah, I'm going to just start the video now, and I'll give you some context first. So first of all, his health bar up here, it says 1 out of 3450. That's not the case. He's full health. It's just like a meme overlay thing. So don't be thinking he's at low health the whole time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have even pulled, right? So it doesn't make sense. And basically, I think they had already did DM North, or they had tried to do it, and they almost wiped in this room over here because somebody aggroed the third boss and some ads, and they had to run out. Apparently, the priest played super heroically during that. Had some, like, a sick mind soothe on some things to help them escape. So the priest seems like they're really competent and knows what they're doing. It's too bad we don't have the healer POV, but we're just going to make do with what we have. And again, this POV is actually kind of better for the reasons we're discussing this video, because we want to see what PirateSoftware actually did, right? So we're going to play the clip. We're in the second room, right? This is going into the third room.
Cycle of life, man.
So we're just clearing to that. And I'm keeping the audio on because I want you to hear the comms.
Have you seen the guy that's...
So I'm just going to pause really quick. Not going to go crazy on the pauses, but you don't want to tank this here, just so you guys know, because there's ads at the bottom of the stairs, and the boss obviously pats down this hallway, so that's going to be a problem.
Trying to actively reduce his age.
I know. Oh, that's crazy. I've seen this dude.
We got two, so just
so they're just kind of chilling, talking about the age guy, I think Brian Johnson or whatever, and the ads pull.
Boss is coming too, watch out.
Yeah. Well, I got shield wall.
Now it's very clear the boss is here.
Run.
Just
run. Can you target dummy?
So we're running away. We look back, see what's going on.
I can target dummy, yeah. Should I do it?
Just kill the
blink
master.
away.
Target dummy.
Now you're going to start to see why
Also,
people
are you
are freaking
fine?
out.
Any grenades, anything?
Stand. You can just
Heal him.
Not really looking that bad yet.
Just come back a little bit.
Boss is on me, sitting bear form.
Snuppy, just run.
I can help a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just really
Why are
running.
you walking, bro?
Hear your motto
What are you
reacting.
talking about? Why am I walking?
This
Look
is
at my mana.
savageable. Come
Innovate
on,
you?
man.
Just kill the master.
Innovate.
He's basically saying here, right, keep in mind, like, nothing I can do, right, mana too low.
Innovate the
Use
healer.
Nova, bro.
Kill the
Come on.
mastiffs. We got
He
this.
heals.
In the sense of...
War something?
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
Just kill the mastiffs. One shot. Okay, we...
More, there's
pulled
more on
another
the way,
fast
more on the
run
way.
now.
Ice Nova.
So,
The mastiffs can be ice novas.
Dead.
Now we're gonna wait.
Nusara?
No.
Okay, get out.
Run.
Evocation's on cooldown, man.
evocation's on cooldown. So again, this is like kind of the second time where basically like we can't do anything.
I can taunt last
How much mana is
moment of
Ice
as well.
Nova? There's no that much mana.
You have a boss in you. You call
Yamato's asking about Ice Nova.
run.
Getting slowed.
He's saying, you called run, right? You have a boss on you, you called run. So I'm going to stop it here, just for now, because I want to talk about that specifically. Because I feel like he's being a bit disingenuous when he's talking about the whole running aspect, right? Because what he's basically saying is like, hey man, you told me to run, and I'm running. Right? Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm doing exactly what you said. And that's definitely misleading and disingenuous, right? Because when you call for a run in a group like this, right, what you're doing is you're basically kind of picking flight or fight, right, from the flight or fight response. Like, you're like, do we want to engage this? Do we think we can kill it? Or are we running away? So it's like, are we trying to get out of the dungeon, or are we trying to stay right here and fight it? What run doesn't mean, typically, is, we're going to turn our back 180 degrees to what is going on, right? We are going to run straight in the opposite direction towards the exit of the dungeon. We're barely going to turn around at all to look and assess anything, and we're just going to keep running. We're going to use all of our movement spells to get out, and we don't care about the state of our teammates, our group, our friends, etc., right? We are just getting out of there, full stop. That's typically not what we mean. And, if this was a lower level group or something, this was not a streamer, this guy hadn't played WoW before or something like that, then I'm totally way more understanding, right? If somebody's a level 35 in Scarlet Monasteries, things go bad, and somebody calls run, especially in text chat or something, and somebody just runs out, I don't blame them at all. But experienced player, to some degree, right? He's not not super experienced in this version of the game, I guess. He probably hasn't played it in a bit at least, but not a noob by any means. He's played with this guild for a bit, right? He kind of knows what's going on. He's seen other clips, right, of stuff like this happening. So he knows that when you call run, the idea is you're trying to run out together. You're trying to potentially use your spells to keep people safe. You don't necessarily have to put yourself in super risk for them, right? But they're kind of expecting you to do the bare minimum to try and help keep them alive. And I think that's a reasonable expectation. And to kind of add on to that, I want to say that if somebody is saying to run, right, in their meaning, just drop everything, don't care about anything and run, if that's what they're telling you, they usually will say that, especially at this level. And we're all in Discord, right? So it's not like there's miscommunication because people are trying to type while they're trying to play. You can pretty much state everything clearly through comms. And I didn't hear any sense of urgency to that degree. It was very clear to me that everybody was trying to get out of the dungeon together. That was the desire, right? Typically, somebody will say, if they think the situation's really that dire and they're not going to make it out, they're going to be like, guys, I'm going to try and get aggro on this stuff. Leave me to die, save yourself, just keep running. Something like that, right? So if something like that was said, it changes the dynamic a lot. But I think very clearly that's not being said here. So this whole thing of I just ran when you told me to ran, that's already kind of a little sus to me. But, and the other aspect too is you even hear at some point Yamato mention, hey, we can salvage this, why are you running, right? And at that point, you should at least, he keeps running after that. And then turns around for a half a second to act like he's going to do something and then continues to run out. At that point, you can absolutely at least turn your camera around to see what's going on so you're not in any danger. You still have a blink up at that point and you can kind of, or it's coming right back up, right? So you can kind of walk back, assess, see if you can do anything, but just not even an attempt to try and help whatsoever. So I just want to make that be noted. But if that was the only thing that happened, I wouldn't even I still wouldn't really be making a video. But then we have this, so I'm going to play this for you, and then we'll kind of go into actually analyzing.
I don't think... I cannot
So they're still talking about the actual dungeon right now.
Are you good?
The mods were fed $1.76.
Okay, so they get out. That was the druid, I think. I feel so bad.
They called run,
came up after,
I ran,
So again,
and
he
I was
reiterates
at
again. They called run, I ran, that was that.
mana.
After we,
I don't know what
I
the
was
hell
out of
they were
mana,
expecting.
couldn't do anything.
That does not make any sense.
Don't know what they were expecting of me. So he's constantly reiterating that there's nothing that he could have did there.
No. They overpulled 2 polls and the boss.
Fuck.
No.
Oh, no.
I'm going to keep this going for just a sec.
I mean, the regular ogres can still be polyed.
So he's talking about, I think this is the tank, he's talking about the polymorph.
We just had the boss and 5 mastiffs and 2 ogres. We could have polyed 1 ogre, killed 1, and then walked it out.
Yes, literally, just even an ice nova would have been enough.
You guys pulled that?
Okay, so Yamato mentions the Ice Nova, the Poly gets mentioned, okay? And, the first guy, I think it's the tank, I think it's Ozzy talking about the Poly. He's pretty calm about this whole thing. Yamato I'd say is a bit more aggressive, but not like super aggressive, right? You can tell he's a little bit annoyed. But 2 people just died. He thinks their deaths were totally preventable. I think it's a little bit reasonable to be at least a bit annoyed, especially he just perceived this guy walk out and essentially didn't do anything to help whatsoever in his mind. So I can totally see, him being annoyed. And he's still not he's not like raging or anything. He's not being super insulting. He's not screaming or anything like that. So annoyed, but not not anything that's super unreasonable, I think. Okay, so I'm going to play it so you can hear Pirate's response.
You
When
instantly ran out, bro. You instantly ran. You didn't even look
as much
back.
as you're angry right now, of course I ran.
Don't be angry
at all.
You
I'm not angry at all.
overpulled 2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss. I had 1,400 mana left. I had to spend all of that mana to try and put it on Blizzard to save you guys in the first place, and nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources. You overpulled, and you weren't paying attention to where the boss was. That's not on me.
Okay, so that's kind of like the spiel. You can keep watching the whole thing. They talk about it for a little bit longer, but not really much changes from this. So I'm not just trying to clip it here to like make him look bad or anything. Like, you guys can verify what was said after the fact if you want to go back and watch the VOD, but it's just like I'm not going to play out the whole conversation because obviously that would just take a ton of time, and it's not really necessary because nobody changes anybody's minds here, right? It's basically just kind of like what was said, and people kind of feel how they feel. So yeah, my whole thing is I just think this is like a crazy response from Pirate, because first of all, it's like dripping in condescension. Like it's literally sounds to me like he's talking down to, like, these are his like children or something. Like he's dictating to children. It's like he is the master of the WoW universe here, and for these plebs to even consider that he could have did anything better or made a mistake, that's like the vibe and the attitude that I'm getting, right? And it almost is like an anime character. It almost, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Code Geass, but it kind of reminds me of like a situation where like Lelouch maybe like absolutely destroys somebody in like a battle, like tactically, and then like he's explaining to that person over comms like how he eviscerated them, in real time, and he's like explaining all his moves. That's kind of like what it seems like, and there almost seems to be like a performative aspect for it, which really kind of annoys me too, where it's almost like he's trying to maybe perform for the stream a bit, like he's trying to get ahead of this, right? He's trying to be like, if I sound, he sounds confident, and he's basically going through all of his moves, and he's like saying like, this is the best possible thing I could have done in the dungeon. Here's why. You know what I mean? And yeah, it just seems to me like he might be trying to like win over the audience here, right? Because obviously there are a lot of people watching this, and yeah, I hate it. I think it's completely awful how it like kind of shuts down the conversation completely, right? And I don't mind misplays at all, right? I think there's kind of like 3 levels to this. Okay, there's like, somebody completely misplaying, right? Or they don't know what they're doing in some other way, right? They don't know how much they can like help on a situation, and so they don't, they don't end up playing properly. Okay, that's fine. Then there's panicking. Okay, somebody like maybe does know what to do, but the panic kind of overwhelms them in the moment, and they don't make the right decisions. That sucks, but it happens, and you can correct for both of those things over time, by just kind of like putting people, being in those situations and kind of like learning what to do. But then there's the other situation, even still, where like maybe you really think, and I think this is kind of what's happening here, right? Like you really think you made the right decisions, and you're very confident that you're totally in the right, and somebody confronts you, and then obviously you're going to be confident in what you did, so you're going to kind of assert that. But I feel like with here there's just a bit more at play, because it's one thing to do that, but he's completely kind of shut down the conversation. It's almost like he's trying to take control of the entire situation, is the vibe that I get. And I think it's totally natural to be a bit defensive, but I think this goes beyond a bit defensive. Like, I'm trying to imagine myself in a position like this, and maybe I make a mistake on healer and people die. We get out of the dungeon and people are like, yo, like, why did you do that? Or why didn't you do this? And I'm just like, yo, bro, I couldn't have done anything else, right? Because you're a bit defensive at first. You think you played well. Obviously, you want to think you played well. But then when somebody starts mentioning, like, specific things, okay, and in my mind, I'm like, well, it couldn't have really done that. But they're, like, insistent that it could have happened. At that point, I'm kind of going to be like, okay, well, maybe I'm not seeing something, right? Maybe, they do have a different perspective than me, and maybe they saw something that I didn't. So maybe we should just go back and look at it, or something like that, right? And that's not really, like, the attitude or mentality that's going on here, right? It's almost like we're trying to shut down as much as possible. And there's more stuff that comes out after this. You guys would have to watch everything. I can't include everything in the video. But it's basically like, until he was, like, forced to see this, right? Like forced. And even then, there's not really, like, a substantial, like, oh, wow, like, I really messed up there. You know what I mean? So I just think that's, like, a terrible way to be. It's, like, super closed off. And, just don't be like that. So we're gonna go back through. We're kind of gonna pick this apart a little bit, because,
the boss coming up.
I think if you're gonna act like, you are kind of like the god of WoW, then we should treat you like the god of WoW. We're gonna analyze every bit of this play, and we're gonna see exactly what you could have done better. Okay, so they had already pulled at this point. And we're going on to the mage, right? Which I like. We're trying to kill the mage. Okay. Something to note is we had counterspelled the mage to start this off, and this is what makes it even more unfortunate that the tank didn't really pull back earlier, because that would have been the perfect opportunity while this guy was counterspelled. Because now you see the guy is coming, right? And they're starting to notice, I think, that the guy is coming, and they're not on the stairs because they don't want to pull him. So they can't actually kick this now, because the mage's counterspell is down, and they can't be in range to kick, which means that this cast is, like, gonna keep going off, and unless this mage dies, the mob is absolutely gonna catch up and then, like, aggro off of this stuff, right? So that's unfortunate, and that's not his fault, obviously. But you see he transitions to Blizzard, and I think this is, like, the first mistake. And people might say that this is, like, nitpicking, but, I mean, in my opinion, again, if you're going to act like you played this perfectly, let's go over and see if you really played it perfectly. So my problem with Blizzard here is that usually if you cast, like, max rank Blizzard or high rank Blizzard, right, what you're trying to do is do damage while you're kiting, right? But in this case, we're not really kiting, because nobody's moving, because the melee have to be there to finish off some of these ads. That's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to finish off some of these. So I think if you're just kiting, you cast rank 1 here, right? And everybody's trying to kind of leave. But we're standing here long enough where it seems like we're trying to actually do damage. And if we're trying to do damage, we should just use other AoE spells to kill the dogs quicker. You know what I mean? Alternatively, we could decide not to do AoE at all. And I think the real correct decision here is to try and burst down the mage. And you're going to see he probably has the damage to do this, because he flame strikes it, I believe, right after he finishes the blizzard. So if he was casting, like, 1 or 2 more frost bolts here and then flame strikes, it maybe finishes the mage or gets really close where somebody else is able to easily finish it, right? So I think the play there is to finish the mage if possible, and then sheep the brute and tell people over comms, like, I'm going to sheep the brute. And then, when this stuff starts to, like, walk away more, you nova it, okay? But there's lots of things you can do here, keep in mind, right? Instead of blizzarding, you could, just keep focus fire this down, then nova. You could Nova right now, and it wouldn't be as good as other things, but it'd still be kind of good. If like once they decide to fully decommit, you can Nova instantly. That doesn't happen. So there's a lot of things that can happen here that don't happen. So we're gonna keep watching.
Oh, I got shield wall.
Okay, so
God
now the
damn.
boss.
Run,
See,
run,
he's
run,
already
run,
really
run.
low up
He
to that
targeted
flame
me?
blast. So 1 or 2 more frost bolts would have gotten him. So they turn around. They're running now, right? And it's good that he turns around. But again, here, you already missed the opportunities to kind of do some of the stuff I was saying before. Now you kind of have to go back and fix it, right? So I think here you really need to go back and Nova. You walk like right here and just drop a Nova, rank 1 Nova. Costs like barely any mana. You have plenty of mana. Remember, he's not actually 1 HP. And just that Nova turned this whole situation around. Okay? It doesn't Nova Fengus or whichever one this is. But even if he does take threat on it, which I think he may be concerned about that because the boss hasn't been damaged too much, right? Because it's just kind of getting on to the group. But the warrior's right here, okay? And you have Blink. And you have your shield on, okay? Like, you're living that until the warrior... And the best part is, okay, is if you Nova, okay, you walk up and Nova, the warrior's going to be probably here. You're going to be, like, here by the time you Nova. The other stuff is stuck behind, so the warrior can now get away and just taunt, mocking blow, hit him, whatever. He just needs to tap this guy to get him off of you, okay, if he does go on you. So you should have went back and Nova'd, but even if you don't Nova, you should Blizzard here, right? Just stop, like, rank 1 Blizzard. Like, let's say you're super petrified. You don't believe in your priest, even though apparently the priest was a god. But let's say you don't believe in him, and you're like, I don't know if he's going to dispel me if I get polyed by the mage, right? So I'm just going to, I'm just going to Blizzard here to slow things down, help out a little bit. That would have been fine. We don't get anything, though, right? And then we get a blink.
So do it.
Just kill him.
And this blink is completely unnecessary because it wastes mana and he's not in danger, right?
Massive,
So
kill the massives.
No.
it's great,
Also,
I guess,
you've-
that we got more space, but it's just not what we need in the moment. Now we're gonna Blizzard, okay? So
Fine.
we start the Blizzard, but guess what? Now at this point we're trying to kite, right? It's very clear that we're trying to kite. He uses rank, like max rank Blizzard or close to max rank, and wastes all his mana, okay? So he
And he
casts
grenades
that.
everything.
He doesn't even channel it for more than like a second, okay? I think he's maybe, again, scared of Fengus, which is somewhat understandable. He still doesn't have threat. You can see his frame. But I kind of get that part a little bit. But just wrong decision there. He should have cast rank 1 Blizzard if he was going to try and Blizzard at all. And like behind Fengus, right? Obviously, because it's not going to affect him.
Dan,
So he's running.
you can
Heal
just
him,
Right.
heal him.
You see the pack coming in. That's going to be relevant
Heal
in
him,
a
heal
second.
him.
Yeah, you just heal me. Just come back.
And at this point, they kind of start to turn around a bit, right? They get threat on that mob. I think the druid got threat was on Fengus, so he probably goes into bear, right? And they're telling the priest to heal him. So at this point, you know that now none of that stuff is on you, right? Because you don't have threat. You're not under threat in the icon. You visibly can see you're not under threat. So now you at least turn
So
around,
me sitting bear form.
right?
Snappy, just run.
But we're not
I can
doing
help
anything.
out.
We're
Yeah,
just running,
yeah.
running.
Why are you walking, bro?
Shaking our head. Then we blink
are you doing?
again. You weren't in any danger there. You blink again, just completely wasting more mana. Okay, you're regenerating mana here, but you're just wasting it. We have no idea what's going on
Savage
because
to the
our
core.
camera's
Yeah.
not turned around.
Just kill the mastiffs.
Innovate,
Kill the
innovate,
mastiffs.
innovate.
Now around
Innovate.
right here, I believe the next pack is
Kill
going to
the
pull.
mastiffs. We got
Like
this.
they think they're going to turn it right here. They're saying kill the massives. They think they can dummy and stuff. But then that pack from the side pulls. Now I want to point out that if he was there, okay, if he didn't completely dip, he undoubtedly sees that pack coming up and he can calm that a lot better, okay? So he can calm the packs coming in and they may not even pull it, okay? Or if they do, maybe the rogue can distract it, right? And, just that changes the whole course of the dungeon, right? But instead, they're panicking because they're having to fight the stuff, right? He's nowhere to be found, and nobody's got eyes on the surroundings.
Sense of,
War something.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
So he's again complaining about his mana, but he wasted so much
kill
of
the
the mana.
mastiffs. One shot. Okay, we
More
pulled
than-
another
more on the way,
pass.
more on the
Run
way.
So he
now.
comes over here, right? Now his mana, if you notice, it's ticking up quite a bit. Okay. Okay, so it's
The
ticking up.
mastiffs can be ice nova.
And then he shields himself for no reason, right? Because we're kind of like full HP here, right? We're not even close to being in combat. And it's like one thing if you're gonna shield yourself and go back in, but as you can see, he kind of like
Now
walks
run away.
up
Nasara?
No.
and then doesn't even he just turns
get
right
out,
back
get
around, and
Run,
then he
run.
blinks again, and the final bit of his mana just completely goes away there. Okay,
Evocation's on cooldown,
so we've completely wasted all of our mana, and we're saying evocation's on cooldown, right?
man.
Just absolutely insane. He could still be kind of doing like the priest is dead here, but if he turns around and blizzards the other mobs and it's just Fengus, the druid and the warrior I feel like can bounce aggro all day. If the druid goes bear, just absolutely does nothing.
I can
Okay.
taunt last
How much mana is
moment of
Ice
as well.
Nova?
And again, it's not
There's
the
no missing
mistakes,
much mana.
right? It's the fact that he's basically implying earlier that we're playing perfectly. I just pointed out so many mistakes there. And there's so many ways that, like, he didn't have to play it perfectly. Even if he just plays it, mediocre. Like, even if he doesn't do, like, the burst the mage down, poly that, and then Nova. Like, even if he just Novas, that makes such a huge difference, Even casting, if he has the slowing frostball, I don't know if he does, but even just casting that on a single mob could have helped in some case. Like, just doing anything would have helped. Even just hanging around to, scope out that pat and giving them the heads up about it so they can either, like, rush through or, wait before they cross. Like, doing either of those, like, absolutely, because the healer was innervated, right? They called for the innervate, the druid swapped out and innervated the healer. So they may have been able to tank that situation on the middle island for a little bit, let the pat pass, even if the pat was in too bad a position for them to pull past it. Okay? So much could have been done even with a bit more information. But instead, we just turn around, run out, we don't even look in their direction. Okay? And, it's just, again, like, it's one thing if you genuinely think that you did everything you could, right? But then after people start questioning you, when you completely shut them down, it's just terrible. And the really bad thing is that because this is like a streamer thing that a lot of people are watching, I feel like it would have been so nice for like the rest of the group had he just taken a little bit of responsibility here, right? Because it kind of takes away emphasis on like what the other people did wrong, and it shares the blame throughout the entire group, which it pretty much should be shared because everybody here kind of messed up, right? Like the warrior mispulled, okay, the druid pulled the extra pack, the rogue could have distracted the first boss mob, right? Or distracted the other pat behind them, okay? So, and he obviously just completely ran out and didn't do anything, so he didn't help out either. And if he just admitted, he was like, you know what, guys? Honestly, like, I was trying to help. I was startled at first. I didn't know what to do. We ran away. Then I blinked. Then I used max strength blizzard. I wasted all my mana. Then I panicked even more after I did that. I blinked again. Like, I'm sorry. You're right. I dropped the ball a bit. Then it's completely fine, right? And it distributes the blame a bit more evenly. But now it's almost like he's tried to completely deflect the blame away from him. And this guy is a big streamer. He's got like, what, 15, 20k views while all this is going on? So it's like, he's basically trying to convince the 15, 20k people on his stream that he did nothing wrong and that he came out of this unscathed. And in turn, that's kind of like making everybody think that the other people are even more noobs than they are. Because it's like now they're all just blaming like the other people in the group essentially, right? When if he would have just taken a little bit of responsibility, people, it would have been a great moment kind of like of how you can show that in these group situations, like your individual play really does matter and you can kind of save a run if you do play well, right? And because usually a run comes down to there being multiple failures and not just being a failure on one individual person. And that would have been a great kind of, I feel like, moment. That would have been like a good thing for the hardcore community in itself. But it's almost like by trying to deflect blame away from himself, he's made it like worse on everybody else in the party. To kind of like ego protect here. And like, I know it sucks. Like it's embarrassing. you mess up in front of a lot of people or something like that, but it's just not the way to be. And I didn't think it was cool what happened. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna like audit this, and as you can see, a ton of mistakes were made. So clearly, you know, he could have done a lot more than he suggests he could do. And yeah, just don't be like this, guys. If something like this happens, you know, things go wrong. You know, just try and be as humble as you can about it. If people think you may have done something incorrectly, then at least hear them out, you know, and like don't completely shut them down like this. And if you did do something wrong, just try and take some responsibility. That's all you can do, you know. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I will see you with another video soon.